When somebody says something or does something that triggers you, they are simply reflecting back to you a part of you that is unhealed. My man, once you can get this concept down, game over. It's over. Because when you can become aware of these triggers and you can not be triggered by something, knowing that you have developed that level of self-mastery, you have healed that part of you, it's game over. What's up, my friend? Welcome to Be the Torch podcast. And first of all, shout out to you for having the courage to click on an episode about being triggered. Because I tell you what, man, this is where most men, they don't even want to approach this conversation because they're afraid of what they are gonna have to tap into. And when you get triggered, and let me remind you what happens when you get triggered. It could be that maybe your girlfriend, your spouse said something to you and you snap. It could be your kids did something, broke something, said something, and you respond in an anger or in a harsh, or maybe you snap at them. Your employees, your customers, maybe someone fires you and you respond. You're triggered by it. Look, we can go on and on. You know what this experience is like. You've had it before. You've been triggered. You get upset, you throw a fit, you get angry, you snap back at someone, you say something you regret. There's a trigger that happens when someone says something, does something inside of you that mirrors back to you a part of you that is unhealed. You get triggered. Let me repeat that. When somebody says something or does something that triggers you, they are simply reflecting back to you a part of you that is unhealed. My man, once you can get this concept down, game over. It's over. Because when you can become aware of these triggers and you can not be triggered by something, knowing that you have developed that level of self-mastery, you have healed that part of you, it's game over. You talk about reducing your own stress, your own anger, but you get to heal a part of it. You don't have to play that game anymore. You don't have to, especially as a single father, if you're working with a co-parent and she is triggering you based on maybe she claims that you're not a good father, or you're not handling your share of the load, maybe financially or emotionally or physically, being present. You know, she says something about your ability to be a parent, whatever, and you get triggered by it, man, you're unhealed in that part. And so imagine when that individual can say these things that are untrue, that you don't like, that is a trigger for them, and you can just be cool, calm, and collected, and it doesn't even bother you. Now you stand in your power, your true, authentic power. This is where I really love embodying this idea that you're untouchable. What are they going to say? What are they going to do to you when you are healed there to get you triggered? You're not, because you're healed. You're over it. You're beyond it. Now, why do we want to do this? Well, the importance of becoming self-aware, developing this level of self-mastery, what it does is it brings awareness around your old childhood traumas, your old patterns, past relationships, failures in your business, the things that used to trigger you because you were not healed there. You hadn't addressed, for example, if you've been in a relationship, you've been divorced, and you haven't healed that part of you that was in that relationship, that's going to come out in your next relationship and in your next relationship, because each trigger is a gift. It is a teacher. It's teaching you something, and you're going to continue to be fed that lesson over and over again until you finally learn it and you heal it so that you can move on to the next lesson that you need to learn. So the wounds that you have from your past relationships, from your childhood, from lost businesses, you carry those with you. And I'm prime example of this. Having grown up in a single family household, my father not really being involved, my mother being doing all she could to support 4 children and working her tail off but not being emotionally present. A lot of times not being physically present because she had to do what she could to keep house over our head and clothes on our back and shoes on our feet, food on the table. And yeah, of course, look, my parents did the best that they could with what they knew. And I have a lot of compassion for them being a parent. However, we all, not that they purposely tried to do this, there's traumas there. And then getting into my marriage and how that ended and how, my experience of being disconnected, horrible communication, toxicity, my wife at the time leaving me for another man, like those are traumas that carried with me that I did not heal into my next relationship. And so I attracted somebody who had her own healing to do, but I hadn't healed my part. And so I went in that relationship with wounds and traumas and unhealing. And I had triggers there as well. And so and then of course, let me cap it off with the fact that, yes, I started my first business. I went through the Great Recession and lost my business. And there was a lot of pain and shame and guilt around all of this. My relationship, how I showed up in it, my business, how I showed up in that. And it was heavy. And I got to the point where I had enough. It was the heaviness that I was carrying with me really had me questioning what I was here to do and why I was here. And if you're in that space, I have true amount of empathy for you. And I understand your trigger to explode and be angry and be defensive and try to justify why you're right and someone else is wrong, pointing those fingers. I get it. And brother, that doesn't serve you. And it's not going to serve any relationship that you're in. It's not going to serve your children. You are literally in your own way. And I heard this for years. Cletus, you're in your own way. I didn't know what that meant. I don't know. Okay, awesome. I'm out of my own way. Now what? It wasn't the truth. I was not out of my own way because I had not done the work to heal, to get into, okay, where I have made these triggers come up. They are lessons, they're gifts. How do I heal from that? And going through that process is life-changing. Like I said in the beginning, game over. Because once you figure this out and you heal this part of you, it allows you to step into a version of you that you have not experienced before. You become untouchable. And now, what ultimately happens is when you shift your mindset around these triggers, the feelings of shame and guilt and I'm not enough and weakness, you heal those parts of you. And what rises up is your confidence, your power, your belief in yourself, and the power in letting go of being right and that someone else is wrong. And so here's what I strongly suggest. As we build out, and I'm going to take you here briefly, just a framework for building out this self-mastery. When we think about ourselves and taking ownership, it absolutely starts with us. Each time that you find yourself wanting to point at someone else, if they're the reason as to why you feel X, Y, Z, they're the reason why you don't get to see your kids as much as you want. They're the reason why you're divorced. They're the reason why our revenue wasn't at where it should be because our sales team did. Take that finger and point it right back at you. Because if you're trying to be right, if you are triggered by it, if you're upset, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're snapping, it's because you're unhealed, my man, in that particular area. And so it's time for you to recognize that and become aware of those triggers so you can make this shift to heal it. Because that's what you want, man. I know you don't want to get angry at your 5-year-old daughter. I know that if you're in a loving relationship, you don't want to get angry at your partner. I know that, if you're in business and you have employees and customers, that you don't want to be snapping at them. You want them to continue to do business with you. You want them to continue to work for you. And so healing that part of you is really, really important. And it's going to shift your trajectory in your life. It's going to put you on a path that you can't even see yet. Because this is the great hack in life, is when you can tap in, become aware of where you are unhealed and start to heal that, man, life is going to change. As you know it, it is going to change. And so the confidence that you feel in healing these triggers, the discipline that you have in becoming awareness, doing a treatment, I call them treatments in our work, doing a treatment around that trigger, which gets back to the truth, gets back to what are the patterns that are showing up, what are the feelings that are coming up for you in this trigger. So when you can apply a treatment to this and get to the truth, get to the feelings, get to the patterns that are showing up, you can start to get on a path of healing that part of you so that it doesn't show up anymore. And the people around you who you love and want to be, you want them in your world, it invites them to do the same for themselves. Because that's what happens. When you start to show up in your power, untouchable, what's going to happen is you're going to start to trigger other people, right? Especially people who you are reflecting back where they're unhealed, especially other men. So when you show up in your power, it invites someone else to be triggered or to meet you where you're at. And it invites them to get to the truth about themselves. It invites them to step into their power and meet you there. So they're either going to get triggered or they're going to stand in their power. That's where the magic begins to happen. So I would, my wish for you is to say, hey, look, I know I have triggers and I want to create a level of awareness around them and start to heal these different parts of me. But it begins with the truth, and the truth comes from that level of awareness as to I got angry. What's the truth behind what I'm feeling? Not the truth about the situation or about someone else. What's the truth about me? I'm feeling, what's up? Let me get into a holistic view of who I am in this present moment. It could have been, something happened to you in a previous relationship that's coming up. Ah, man, I see it now. See how I used to show up in this old relationship, how I used to be treated, how I felt, and now I'm taking out on this person because I haven't healed that. Or it could be in your business. It could be in your parenting, how your parents spoke to you, treated you, valued, saw you, heard you, or lack thereof. And so if you came from growing up in an environment where you were not seen, safe, heard, or valued, you're probably in your environment as a parent, for example, are not giving your child an opportunity to be safe, seen, heard, and valued. And in exchange, you're being triggered. And it's causing disconnection and distrust and toxicity in your parenting, in your relationships, and beyond. So, a lot of mistakes men make is say, well, in order to not get triggered, I just will ignore or avoid the situation. And think about it from a co-parent perspective. Your co-parent sends you a nasty message or blames you or is complaining about you, and you want to jump back on that text and you want to fire back and tell them a piece of their mind because you're right and they're wrong. Nope. Put it down. That's not the way it works. You say, I'm just going to ignore her and I'm not even going to respond. Nope, my man, that's not the way it works. You don't want to do that either. And although it may be this quote unquote safe way to do it, standing up in your power, not being triggered, and just setting a boundary and saying, hey, I don't like that. That doesn't feel good to me. And Or no, thank you. That's not the truth. No, thanks. Not the truth. Boom. End of story. Moving on. Stand in your power. Same thing with your relationships. You don't want to avoid getting triggered. You want to have that healthy connection, those healthy conversations that can be heated, or way to you're going to collide. It's basically what's going to happen. You're going to collide with your partner at times. That's life. But instead of avoiding it because you don't want to get triggered, you got to become aware, like, okay, what is it that's triggering me about me? What are they reflecting back to me? What is my girlfriend reflecting back to me? What are my kids reflecting back to me? What is it? I'm feeling triggered. Look for it. You got to do that little investigative work because you have a past of stuffing shit down where you don't want to address it. You don't want to feel it. And so now you got to go be that detective and go find what it is that you're feeling and that's ultimately getting you triggered. The other things that I often hear from men as well, if I'm getting triggered, well, they're being disrespectful to me. Look, here's the thing. I'm not asking you to have to honor and respect other people. They may not treat you very nicely. And I'm not saying that you have to respect them if they're not respecting you or what have you. What I am suggesting you to do is that you behave respectfully. You see the difference? So you may not have respect for your co-parent or for this person in business, but you're going to behave respectfully and you're going to stand in your power and own it and not let that person trigger you. So what I really want you to take away from this is when an event happens, before you get triggered, now think about it, there's just a little gap in there. And it's a flash. It's just a quick flash in between an event that happens and you get triggered. But in that gap there is where you can pause and connect with, okay, I'm feeling triggered here. What is it? And just observe what you're feeling and turn it back on you. What is it about this person, this situation, this scenario that's triggering me? What is it about me in this? And try to get to the truth, identify a pattern that's showing up so that you can heal that part of it. You can do a treatment on it so that ultimately you're not getting triggered by it in the future because you've healed that part of you. If you do have a morning routine, if not, I highly suggest you get into our Master Your Morning cheat sheet and start to master your morning. And in that process, you can journal. And so journaling your triggers that are coming up are really powerful practice so you can see it. It's right there in the flesh, in ink, on paper, a trigger that comes up for you. And then, man, I truly, just because I believe self-mastery is the key to helping men become the men capable of achieving success in all areas of life. Self-mastery is the key. Make a commitment to self-mastery in all areas of your life. That is from your focus, your family, your fortune, your fitness, and your foundation, the 5 pillars that are of the Power 5 and Be the Torch, and where most men want to have success in their lives. And so making a commitment to that self-mastery is truly powerful and something that all men can truly benefit from. So pay attention, become aware, get to the truth about why you are triggered and how you can heal that part of you, because I know you do not want to continue to go around living and being controlled by that trigger, and it starts with your daily habits. So, my friends, if you are someone who's saying, hey, look, I want to take this to the next level, I appreciate the content that we're getting from Be the Torch, there's a couple ways where you can help this movement. Number one, obviously you can subscribe to this channel. Would love your feedback when you do. What do you need to hear more of? You can leave a comment or a review and just let me know, like, what information do you need? Where can I help best support you? So this is kind of like our core content, our training. But like we have, if you're someone who wants to go to a deeper level, that's where you get engaged in our Be the Torch Pro. The best easy entry point is our Master Your Morning. So if you go to cletuscoffey.com/morning and get access to our Master Your Morning cheat sheet, that's where you can start the path to mastery by just mastering your morning. That's it. Start there. And then what that does is that gets you into our ecosystems where we can help communicate other programs and opportunities and trainings that are available for you so you can develop that self-mastery necessary to become the man capable of having success in all areas of your life. My friend, thank you for joining us. Look forward to catching you on the next one.